You know that feeling when you go to the doctor for a checkup and they say, everything looks great, but you don't actually feel great? You feel tired, you're eating okay, but something is just off. That is exactly how most of you feel about your 401k right now. You log in, you see a number that's bigger than it was last year, assuming the market isn't having a tantrum, and you think, all right, I'm doing it, I'm adulting. But here's the thing, you aren't doing it. Your 401k is probably set up wrong, not just a little wrong, like dangerously wrong. It's like you're trying to drive to New York City, but you've got the GPS set to vaguely east. You might eventually hit the ocean, but you're gonna run out of gas long before you get there. My name is Thomas, and I spend way too much time thinking about the silent allocation error costing you decades of growth and how to rebalance in 10 minutes. If you're someone who feels like you're saving money but never really getting ahead, like your retirement is just this abstract concept that might happen if the economy doesn't collapse first, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Let's talk about the moment you got hired at your current job. You were probably sitting in HR filling out a mountain of paperwork, and they handed you a sheet for the 401k. They said, we match 4%, just pick a percentage. And you, being a busy person, picked the default. Usually that's like 3% contribution, and you pick the default investment. Usually that's something called a target date fund, or worse, a balanced fund that your 65-year-old manager picked 20 years ago. Here's what most people don't realize. Those default settings aren't designed to make you rich. They're designed to keep you from panicking. HR departments hate liability. They want you to pick something so boring that you can't sue them if it goes down a little bit. But look, I'm not here to bash target date funds entirely. For some people, they're fine. But for most of you watching, they're a trap. A lazy, fee-heavy, overly conservative trap. I want you to imagine two friends. Let's call them Default Dan and Optimized Olivia. They're both 30 years old, they both make $60,000 a year, they both get a 4% company match, and they both want to retire at 65. Default Dan does what the HR lady suggested. He contributes 4% to get the full match. His money goes into the default target date fund 2060. Sounds futuristic, right? Well, that fund right now is holding about 10% in bonds. Olivia says, wait a second, I'm 30. I'm not retiring for 35 years. Why am I owning bonds? Bonds are for people who are retired now. So Olivia contributes 15% because she knows 4% isn't enough, and she puts it all into an S&P 500 index fund, just straight up American companies. Now let's do the math. This is where it gets really interesting. We'll assume a conservative average return of 9% for the stock market, which is actually a little below the historical average. For Dan's target fund, because of those bonds and higher fees, let's assume a 7% return. Default Dan contributes $4,800 a year, including match. After 35 years, at 7%, he has about $710,000. Optimized Olivia contributes $9,000 a year, 15% of her salary, including match. After 35 years, at 9%, she has about $2 million. Look at that, nearly 3 times the money. Now I know what you're thinking. Thomas, I can't afford to save 15%. I have student loans, rent is insane, I buy coffee, I have a life. I hear you, I really do. But here's the psychological trap. You aren't seeing the difference between $40-80 and $15. You're seeing a huge chunk of your take-home pay. But what you're not seeing is the opportunity cost of that coffee, or that you're basically paying extra money to be lazy. Let's dig into the target date fund trap a little deeper. Most people think, oh, it's a set it and forget it fund. And technically it is. It automatically shifts more into bonds as you get older. Sounds smart. But here's what they don't tell you. The expense ratios on these things can be sneaky. You might see 0.30%, 0.50%, or even higher. Compared to an S&P 500 index fund that charges 0.03%, you are paying 10 times more in fees. And this is where the math gets criminal. Let's go back to Dan and Olivia. Even if they both contributed the exact same amount, let's say $500 a month, and just invested it differently, the fees alone would crush Dan. If Dan pays 0.50% in fees and Olivia pays 0.03%, over 30 years, the difference in fees paid is over $50,000. $50,000. That's not going to a money manager, that's just going to Vanguard or Fidelity to cover the paperwork. It's insane. It's like paying for a first-class ticket but being seated in the cargo hold. Now let's talk about the psychology of the match, because this is the part that really grinds my gears. The company match is free money. Absolutely take it. It's a 100% return on your investment instantly. If your company matches 4% and you're not putting in 4%, you're leaving money on the table. But here's the trap. A lot of you stop there. You think, I'm doing 4%, I got the match, I'm good. And the company loves that. They love it because they set that match low on purpose. They want you to think you're winning so you don't ask for a raise. You need to think of your 401k as a robot vacuum. It's a tool, but if you just turn it on and let it bump around the room, it's going to miss half the dirt. You have to program it. So here is the action plan. Here is how we fix this today. Step 1. Kill the default. Log into your 401k portal right now. Look at where your money is actually invested. If you see the word target, balanced, or retirement, click on it. Look at the holdings. If you see bonds or international stocks making up a huge chunk, we need to change it. Now, I'm not saying dump international entirely. Some people like it for diversification, but for the love of money, check the fees. If your expense ratio is over 0.20% for a basic large cap fund, you're getting ripped off. Step 2, the 1% rule. You can't go from 4% to 15% overnight. Your brain will reject it. You'll feel poor and you'll quit. So we use the principle of painless progression. Every time you get a raise, increase your 401k by 1%. Did you get a 3% cost of living raise? Put 1% of it into your 401k. You won't miss it because you weren't used to having it in the first place. Do this every year. In 5 years, you'll be at 10% or more and you won't even feel it. Step 3, the latte factor rebuttal. You've heard the saying, if you skip your latte, you'll be a millionaire, and you probably rolled your eyes because it feels like deprivation. And you're right, it is stupid. I'm not telling you to never have a nice coffee or go out to dinner. That's not living. Here's what I want you to do instead. Look at your subscriptions, the gym you don't use, the 4 streaming services, the Audible credits piling up. That's where the money goes to die. Cancel one of them. One. Take that $15 a month and instead of skipping your latte, put that into your 401k. It's not about the coffee, it's about the leaky faucet of subscription services. I want to tell you a quick story about my uncle. He worked for the same company for 38 years, did everything right, saved diligently. He retired 5 years ago with what he thought was a nice little nest egg. Last Thanksgiving, he told me he's worried. He's 72 now, and he's worried he's going to outlive his money. Why? Because he was default Dan. He had his 401k in those conservative funds his whole life. He thought he was being safe. He thought bonds were safe. But here's the thing. Inflation is a monster. If your money isn't growing aggressively enough in your working years, inflation eats it alive in your retirement years. He avoided the risk of the stock market only to fall victim to the guaranteed risk of inflation. That's the part nobody tells you. Risk isn't just the stock market going down. Risk is your money not growing enough to feed you when you're 80. This is where it gets really interesting. Once you fix your allocation and start increasing your contributions, something magical happens. You stop feeling like a victim of the economy. You start feeling like an owner. Because that's what stocks are. They're ownership in companies. When you own the S&P 500, you own Apple, you own Microsoft, you own Nvidia. You're no longer just a consumer paying for their products. You're an investor collecting their profits. It shifts your entire perspective on money. So here is your homework. 1. This week, log in and move your money out of the lazy default. Put it in a low-cost index fund that tracks the S&P 500 or the total US stock market. If your 401k doesn't have good options, then at least pick the lowest cost growth fund they have. 2. Set a calendar reminder for January 1st. On that day, you will increase your contribution by 1%. No excuses. 3. Unsubscribe from one streaming service you forgot you had and put that cash toward your future. My name is Thomas, and I spend a lot of time thinking about the silent allocation mistake that quietly costs people decades of growth and how to fix it. Don't fall into the trap of becoming default Dan. If this video helped you realize your 401k might need a tune-up, smash that like button. Subscribe if you actually want to get ahead instead of just getting by. I'll see you in the next one.